Good morning, welcome back to A to Z Gardening. I'm out here in the nursery again because so far this fall we've had a fantastic streak of weather and it's been great for the plants as well. So if it's cool like this, if it's damp, we have some even moisture in the ground, you still can plant trees and shrubs, but a lot of people ask me about moving and transplanting. So I'm going to give you a little bit of intimate information about how these plants work, and it might really help you learn the science and understand what you can move, what you can transplant, why we plant during casual times like fall. So when you see this plant here, we have a pear, we have a dogwood, some very popular plants to put in right now. It's very economical and easy to get nursery stock that's been grown in containers. Back in the old days, you'd see a lot of plants that were grown in the field that were heavy, that had burlap balls. We still do some of that, but it's migrated a lot more towards this perfect material that we're growing in the pot. But all these roots are grown in a circle, very compact. So when you plant this plant, that plant needs to get what I call back in balance. You have a very tall top, lots of mature tree over an inch diameter, but all of the roots sustaining that plant are compacted into this perfect nursery soil and cared for very frequently inside the container. We need to get this plant back in balance. Get to in a minute how we can transplant and if we can transplant a plant of this size. So when you plant something like this, I like to take and tickle that root out just a little bit, and you'll see all those fine little root hairs. Those fine little root hairs, if this plant weren't growing in a container, are going to be way out around the drip line or the outer edge. If you can imagine the tree had a roof, the outside area where the gutters were, that's traditionally where these roots belong. So you can see that that plant doesn't quite have the width in the root system to support it. So when you plant a plant like this, make sure you amend the soil, add lots of black rich organic matter away from this container so it has a perfect opportunity to establish itself to get back in balance. Add a couple handfuls of the bone meal, that phosphorus like we talked about with the bulbs. That helps promote that root growth late in the season. Also, make sure that this plant has a chance to establish all those little root hairs by staking it so it doesn't keep tearing those fine little baby roots. So to moving and transplanting, if it's a plant that goes deciduous, like these plants will lose their leaves, that's deciduous, then it's probably safe to plant it in the fall time as long as you're making sure that you amend that soil and keep it evenly moist. If that plant's been established more than 3 to 5 years, you're going to want to make sure that you test the ground and see how far that root base is really established, those little tiny root hairs. If it's too far to take all that soil, it's probably too late to move that plant safely. The roots close to the stem, very structural, they hold up. The roots far away are the ones doing all the nutrition and water draw for the plant. For any questions about moving or planting in the fall, feel free to contact any of us professionals here at Stans.